Many thanks for being there. Now, a group of lawyers have expressed support for Senate President Godswill Akpabio's decision to step down from our presidential panel investigating sexual harassment allegations made by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The lawyers argue that Akpabio's withdrawal was the right thing to do, as his involvement could have been perceived as a conflict of interest. The panel was established by President Bola Tinubu on April 2, 2025, headed by Vice President Kashim Shettima, with a mandate to investigate the serious allegations that have drawn national attention and embarrassment. Other members of the panel included the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, the Attorney General of the Federation Lateef Fagbemi, and one representative each nominated by Senator Akpabio and Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan. Well, to help make sense of this, we're joined by a legal practitioner, Valerian Umadike. Valerian, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Of course. Now, the Senate President had earlier vowed not to step down over the sexual harassment allegation, but now there seems to be a turnaround. Do you think that the pressure to obey the rule of law prevailed?
Yes, because it's the right thing to do, because it's built on the principles of natural justice, that no one should act as a judge in a case in which they have a personal or vested interest. It has a Latin maxim, nemo judice in causa sua. So it cannot be a judge in your own case, because if put to a reasonable man's test, how would a reasonable man react? Even if you arrive at an honest verdict, a reasonable man will allege that there is a likelihood of bias. And if that is so, even if the panel brings up a resolution, that resolution will be challenged, and rightly so, that a party that you are investigating is appearing as a member of the committee that is investigating himself. It's uncharitable and is an aberration.
Still talking about the panel anyway, it is headed by the Vice President, the National Security Advisor, the Attorney General of the Federation, people of the same political leaning as Akpabio. Some people are saying that the panel should have been independently constituted to ensure truth and equity. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, that is also correct. But, even if you constitute a panel that have nothing to do with party affiliation, there might also still be loopholes, because the issue we're talking about, it has gathered or it has gotten to an international dimension that a lot of countries are watching closely, and it borders on the institution of the Senate. So one might say that having such high-powered members, it gives it a certain flavor or taste that, okay, people are taking this thing serious and they are trying to unravel the root cause of it. So I don't really see anything in it. The only thing I found an exception on is Akpabio being a member. He ought not to. So I'm glad that he has stepped aside. I would even advise that beyond stepping aside from the panel, he could, temporarily hand over to the Deputy Senate Presidents just for the period of the investigation, so that there won't be any allegation of undue influence whatsoever. But stepping aside already, which he has done, is a good step. But I might say we should take it a little bit further and step aside temporarily from being the Senate President to allow the deputy takeover pending the termination of the investigation of the presidential panel. Okay,
so a little bit of twist. Do you think that in the light of the recent revelation and the fact that it was said that Senator Natasha might have lied about the sexual harassment situation, do you still think that justice will still prevail or be served?
Natasha is in court. Senator Natasha is in court, rightly so. So I believe justice will prevail. I recall that my Leonard Silk representing Akpabio, Senator Akpabio, requested for out-of-court settlements, to which Senator Natasha rejected. So I feel whatever the outcome of the presidential panel, there is still a court of competent jurisdiction that will also hear the matter. So I do believe that justice will be served. Section 131 of the Evidence Act states that he who alleges have to prove. So the onus is on Senator Natasha to prove the allegations.
Well, thank you so much, Valerian Mwadike, for sharing your thoughts with us on the news.